Hey, it's Jag. I need to make a new eyelet board.
Yeah.
I had intended to start final assembly of the preamp today, but I realized that I had one more design change still to make. So I won't be getting to the soldering and final assembly today, but I will be making a new eyelet board. So why am I making a new eyelet board? When I decided to switch to the larger chassis, I also changed the control layout. I switched from a Marshall style right to left control layout to a Fender style left to right layout. I prefer the left to right layout mainly because I've always been primarily a high watt player and a Fender amp player. High watts also have their controls laid out left to right. Marshall, it's sort of their signature that they have the right to left layout. There are other brands out there that do that, but predominantly most amps are laid out left to right. Marshalls are laid out right to left, probably because the original JTM 45 was so heavily based on the late 1950s Bassman, but with the chassis flipped. So they just basically took a Bassman, copied the circuit, and changed it so it would work with EL34s, and flipped the layout. So that caused the controls to go right to left. That's probably why that is. So what does the left to right, right to left layout mean? Here on my bench top, I have both the chassis, the original smaller chassis and the larger chassis that I'm using now. So if I flip them up, so the bottom of the chassis is here, and this is what you would look at from the front of the amp. On the smaller chassis, we had the power LED, then the volume and tone controls here, and the input jack here. So that's a right to left layout. Input jack, volume, tone, and then your power light. Here we are going input jack, volume, tone controls, and then the power switch. It's a combined switch and light. So you can see that this is going from input going left to right, and this from input is going right to left. So this is what you would consider a Marshall style. This is what you would consider a Fender style. I had realized at the time I was going to need to flip the card, but I didn't really at the time realize I was going to need to make a whole new card. Why do I have to make a whole new card? If we take these chassis and we lay them down like this, and I get the original card was made to go in over here, so that when we turn the chassis up, the card would be here, the 12AX7 would be over here, and all the controls would be up here. So all the wires and everything going into the card from the controls are on this side, and all of the output and the wires for the tube socket and everything are on this side. And that works just fine for this. But with the change of the layout over here, I can't put this in this way because the layout is just wrong. I've got my input here, and it's going to come over here to go into the preamp card. I could turn the card this way, but now all of my wires for the tube socket and the outputs and everything are coming out this side of the board, and all my wires for the controls are here. So what needs to happen is I need to take this original orientation of this card and just do a flip horizontal like this. It would actually work if I took just my original template and just did that flip and then made a new card, and then everything would work right. The inputs would be coming in here, all of the controls would come in on this side, the tube socket wires would all come out this side, and the outputs and everything, and the transformer for the balanced output would be where it needs to be. So it's not really a big deal. I just need to flip my template that way, and then the layout even doesn't really need to change other than to be a mirror image of the original, if that makes sense. So that's why I'm making a new card. And rather than just take my original layout for the card and horizontal flip it, I took this opportunity to download and work with a program I'd been wanting to look at for a long time, which is DIY Layout Creator, which lets you create your layouts, print your layouts, all your connections and everything. I'll give you a quick look at it here. Not really a tutorial on using it, but up until now, I had not really had a layout creating program that I really liked. You either have to make your own components or they just didn't work that well. I've been watching quite a few videos of Brad's Guitar Garage and Psionic Audio and Rift Amps, and one of those three actually did a run-through on using DIY Layout Creator, and it's free. And I watched the video and it looked like it was pretty easy, so I thought, well, I'll download that. It looks like it's going to do everything I need, and I'll see how it works. It worked out really well. So, like I say, I'm not going to do a demonstration of the program, but I'll just show you what I've laid out and a little bit of what I've done, and then we'll get out to the wood shop and I'll make the new eyelet card. Okay, so I've got DIY Layout Creator up on my computer, and I've created the new circuit card template layout, and it is just a mirror image of the original one. And this program is really quite simple to use. You can drop boards on. I've dropped a board on here. I made it 2 inches by 5 5/8 inches, which is the size I need. You can drop in your drilling holes for your mounting holes, eyelets. It's as easy as just dropping your object where you want it on the screen. Here you can see I've got my favorites. For example, doing the new Eyelet board, I just take the eyelet and drop it where I want it. If I want it, if I wanted another eyelet right there, I just do that, and there's my other eyelet. Same thing with schematic symbols such as your ground symbol, your hookup wires, jumpers, jacks, all of that stuff, resistors and capacitors and whatnot. As you see here, I've also put in all the components for that layout to make sure I hadn't missed anything. I laid that out. I printed this out. It prints 1-to-1, so I was able to just cut this unpopulated template eyelet board and just stick it to some eyelet cardstock, and I'm going to be heading out to the wood shop in a few minutes to make the new eyelet card. But this program was really easy to work with. I usually hand draw my layouts. As I said earlier, I've never found a layout program that worked in a way that was easy for my workflow. This was really quick. I did this layout in way less time than it would take to even draw it out. So it was really good. Not only that, it's a full layout program. So here I've got just my eyelet card, and then I populated it with the components that are going to go on the card. But you can also do a whole layout, which I've started. I'll show you that. So here is the layout I'm working on for this project. I haven't put in the power switch here yet, or the XLR output jack. There isn't a symbol in here, at least that I can find, for an XLR jack. So I'm going to have to figure out how to make my own components in this program and then put it in. Same with the power switch. This power LED switch here is just a placeholder switch. It's not. It doesn't represent the actual switch I'll be using. But everything else is there. I was able to go through and wire it up on screen exactly the way it's going to be wired when I make the physical unit. Of course, lead dress will be handled at the time of building the actual project, but this is more or less even how the lead dress will work. You can see everything here. I've got my input jack, I've got my 1 meg resistor to ground. I am going over to the input of V1A here, all my circuitry for cathode, grid, plates, plate resistors, everything is all here. Like I say, I'm not going to go through this as a tutorial right now, just showing you that this program is quite full featured. It's free. It's a crowdsourced program. You can do a buy me coffee. I don't know who that money goes to, if it's crowdsourced, but I imagine it goes to support the program in some way. It looks great. It's really easy to use. I'll just show you really quick, for example, doing the output, the unbalanced output here. I can just go to my favorites where I put the Nutric 1/4 inch jack, and I can just click that. It automatically puts it under my mouse. I can drag it and place it where I want it. I can rotate it just by transforming the selection, so rotate that clockwise. So there, that's the output side here. I can bring it over here. I can connect the hot wire right to where the hot should be. I can connect to ground. I can insert some hookup wire and put that there, and then just drag this over to wherever I want my ground point to be. By the way, I've got all these grounds showing here. I'm going to do a proper grounding scheme. I've just put these symbols in just so I know where the grounds are on the card for now. I will finalize the actual placement of the ground points when I'm putting the preamp together. But anyway, there we go. So now I've got my ground. I've got the hot side. It's a switch jack, the Nutric jack. So you can see, for example, here when I have nothing plugged in, this will short and connect the tip to ground, so we have no open-ended noise. But when we plug it in, it breaks that ground, and then your hot just goes off where it needs to go to the circuit, and you have your 1 meg resistor to ground here. Like I say, not really going to do much more in the way of demonstration other than this, but great program, DIY Layout Creator. I pretty sure it was one of Chris Fantana's videos I watched where he went through doing this, and so I want to give credit to Chris. Great channel. I really like his style and what he does on his channel, and I've found him to be really helpful. Okay, I'm out in the shop and I'm ready to do this new Eyelet board. Our cold weather snap finally broke. It's about -1 out there right now. I just turned the heaters on and it's about +1 in here, so it's still chilly, but things are warming up. I think they say we're going to hit +6 tomorrow or the day after, so maybe spring's on the way. I've got my card stock, and I've stuck the new eyelet layout down with some double-sided tape. I'm just going to score around that and then just use a little saw to cut this out, and then I've got my eyelets and staking tool. We'll stake the eyelets in there. That's all the holes drilled. Now I need to take the paper off and just stake the eyelets in, and this new card will be done. Probably 3 years ago, I did a video where I covered more in depth my process for making eyelet boards. So if you want to know more about this, check that video out. I'll try and remember to put a card and a link in the description. But I've got this card all loaded with the eyelets. I have not staked them in yet, but one of the things I showed in that other video was how when I get the eyelets in, I put tape on this side so they won't fall out. If you drill your holes the proper size, 1/8 of an inch, your eyelets will kind of press fit into there and generally won't fall out. But occasionally they do, and it's a real pain in the butt. So I just loaded all of the eyelets in the top of the board and taped them down, and now I'm ready to stake them. So putting that tape on, you always end up with these little dots of tape in the holes, so you just got to poke those out. Not really a big deal, you just got to be patient and do it. So that's it for today. I need to check my supplies and see if I have everything to populate this new board, and order anything that I don't have. I could take parts off the other card to put on the new card, but I don't want to do that. Since I have the other smaller chassis, and I have enough stuff to make a traditional power supply, and I have that card already made, I'm close to having the whole original version of this preamp made, and I'm thinking down the road that I might do that just to see what the difference is in performance between these two. Also, I may modify that original one to be more guitar friendly. We'll see. So anyway, I want to keep all of that stuff for later, so I'll be populating a new board, installing it into the chassis, wiring it up to the controls, and getting this bass preamp on the roll. I don't know how much of that I'll get done in the next video, but it's kind of going down the right track now. This is probably my most changed or modified project I've ever done. It's actually turned into a completely different project than when I started. The only thing that's the same is the main circuit itself. So it's been fun though. I've liked learning about the switch mode power supplies and boost converters, and I'm looking forward to seeing how well those perform in this. So like always, please like and subscribe. Check my band, One Soul Thrust. Oh, by the way, speaking of One Soul Thrust, just this week we released a new song on our YouTube channel. It's not a video, it's the song with a static picture, but it's in support of wildland firefighters, and it's based on a true story about some friends of ours out in the BC Rocky Mountains who almost lost their entire ranch to a wildfire 2 years ago. We have this song which tells that story, and we put it out there just as a thank you to all the wildland firefighters worldwide. They've had a hard job for the last few years, and it doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon. So please check that new song out. I'll include a link in the description below, and maybe a card up here or something for it. So again, thanks for watching. Until the next video, we'll see you.